pop-up show. Something that I very rarely do is pop-up shows, but I don't have to work tomorrow, even though I will work. I don't have to keep a schedule tomorrow, is what I should say. And so I decided to do a quick pop-up painting and practice some different techniques on a Minotaur. Just a couple of things I'm working on. Here's the Chimera that I'm working on, and I'm ready to get into some of the details. I've got the base colors that I want laid down, but I don't really feel like getting into details tonight. And I just finished this sketch that I started on Whatnot a few weeks ago, and that was fun to do. But I didn't feel like doing a brand new sketch, so I said, let me do a pop up show and do some painting real quick. Everyone knows I love the Minotaur, and I paint a lot of Minotaur. I sketch a lot of Minotaur, draw a lot of Minotaur, and it's my go-to. So let's get started here. Let me show you the palette that I'm going to be working with. I'm going to be working with a limited palette of black, white, blue, and green. And the blue is ultramarine blue, and the green is viridian green. And then I've got a little red orange that I'm going to use as the background color. Normally I would do a wash, but I'm not going to do that this time. I'm actually going to go in and do a painted background with the orange and just see how it comes out. It's a pop-up show, so no expectations really. And I'm just going to go for it. Let's see here. Welcome everybody that's stopping by. We're just doing a quick pop-up show, doing some painting. We're going to be on for maybe an hour, and we'll see how it goes from there. We'll just start off with an hour and then take it from there. But welcome everybody. If you enjoy mythology, fantasy art, I paint a lot of fantasy art. And then on Saturday nights, I typically do pop culture and comics. And on Thursday nights, I usually do the fan art. I usually do the fantasy art, not fan, but fantasy. And tonight is just a quick pop-up show because I don't have to keep a schedule tomorrow. I'm not really super tired right now. So I just figured, hey, I'm going to paint. So I might as well just come online and see what's happening with people. If no one's busy and they decide to stop by, great. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. And if you got questions, let me know. If you want to chat about something specific, let me know. What I typically do is I already messed up. I already messed up too. You know how I messed up? I'm going to see if I can correct it real quick. I forgot to lighten this down a little bit. I don't want to paint over all this graphite. So I usually just try to I'll take a kneaded eraser and I'll just roll it over the pencil and pick up the loose graphite. That way it doesn't get into the paint, and I don't have to try to cover it up. The biggest thing though is getting that loose graphite into the paint. It just makes the colors a little bit harder to work with. I don't erase it all the way. I just like to lighten it up, get that loose graphite off. I'm going to paint it, so it'll all be covered up anyway. Let's see. Let's take a quick moment to say hello to Nuno85, Greg, Diane. Thank you all for stopping by. Who else did we have stop by? Bobo, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Everyone, I always appreciate it. I don't take it for granted that people are going to stop by and watch me paint or draw or sketch or anything. So I always appreciate it. I'm very appreciative of it. But if anyone is out there and has questions, please let me know. I usually chat about movies, TV shows, comics, um, no world events. I don't get into that too much. I like to keep things light and easy here. I'm digging this orange. This orange is looking pretty cool right now. This is a red orange. I really wasn't sure what it was going to look like. I don't know if I've ever used this color before. Um, but I'm definitely happy with how it's turning out so far. I'm going to have to put this in my category of colors to use. It's a red orange, and I think it's called red orange, and I'm kind of digging it, to be honest. I am kind of digging it. I use the paint wise. I love the Artezas. This is gouache, so it's water based, really easy to work with. One of the reasons why I like gouache is I use the illustrated gouache. There's acrylic gouache, and then there's the illustrated gouache. The acrylic gouache, once it dries, and that's it. But it is water based, so it's fairly easy to work with. And the illustrated gouache, also called artist gouache, is it can be reactivated with water. And so a lot of my paintings, unfortunately, I can't sit and finish them in one session. So by using the illustrated gouache, I can reactivate the colors a day or two later, a week later, um, a month later, until I decide to lock it down and seal it with a varnish. I can continue working on it, no problem, and I can blend and activate stuff. But definitely, I'm digging this orange. I am digging that orange. So, who's ever on, if there's anybody on, let me know where you're from. Where are you watching out of? Normally, when I do the later, I'm on the East Coast. So, normally, when I do the later shows, it's for people in various countries or on the West Coast. Excuse me while I take a sip. There are several people I know that watch from the West Coast, and I like to do later shows for them sometimes. All right, that came out pretty good. That's nice. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to come in with a blue, the ultramarine blue, and I'm going to use that as my base dark. And I'm going to touch it up with just a tad bit of black. And I say a tad bit, but it's a lot. So it may appear black. It may appear like a really deep blue, which is what I want. A lot of times where's my favorite brush here? I'm going to use one of my faves. A lot of times it just, when I'm using a limited palette like this, I'll take whatever I want to be the shadow color. I'll mix it with a little black, and I'll make that the shadow color. And so that's what it's going to look like. I think it'll be nice. It's definitely blue. As I'll clean it out, my brush here just highlights the fact that it's blue. That's the other thing I love about working with gouache. I have done oil painting, and I started out doing oil paints, many years and decades ago. I don't know if I'll ever get back into oil painting, but I do love the ease of working with gouache. I mean, the setup, all I have to do is get a water bottle, and the cleanup, all I have to do is Ooh, I don't like this brush. This brush is too big already. But I'm gonna continue to use it. I just need to be a little more careful on what I'm doing. Actually, I'm gonna make this all black inside here. Inside the shield, I'm gonna take that all boy black. What was I talking about? This brush messed me up. I picked, what did I pick? I picked a number 5. Oh my god, that's way too big. Oof. But I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna just use it, take my time, get my line work in. I'm gonna cover it all up anyway, so it doesn't really matter that much. I just wish I had used a smaller brush to start with. But how are we doing on time? What time? Let's do a time hack. 10:45. So let's say we started 5 minutes ago at 10:40. I like to keep track of how long certain pieces take me, just so when I'm budgeting for time for commissions, I know what I can promise and deliver. So that's why I always do a time hack, because when clients ask me, "Hey, can you do this in this amount of time?" I have to be able to know what I can do at various points of time. Nothing worse than saying, "Yeah, I can get this to you in this amount of time," and then they go, "Cool," and then I don't deliver. That's not cool at all. I think for the most part, I usually deliver on time, and that's always the go. Ooh, I got a little hair on there. That's not good. All right. I don't know if I want to come too far. I don't think I've ever done this before, where I just outline the whole thing with a deep color like this. I'm not sure how it's going to turn out, but that's why I do these little 6x8 color comps, because one, the main purpose is as a color comp to see if the color palette is, if I like the color palette. And if I like the color palette, then I make a note of it. And when I get to a bigger painting, where I do my bigger paintings, like the Chimera I just showed you, those are 9x12 on canvas board, sometimes on canvas. Then I have an idea of the colors that I want to use. Doing it on these smaller platforms, the 6x8, sometimes 4x6, a lot less threatening than doing it the full blown Monty on from the get go. Although lately I have been trusting myself to do 6x8 paintings, just going for it, and I've been very happy with the results. I will say that I have not disappointed myself, um, and I've been very happy with the results. As a matter of fact, um, I think that orange and blue looks pretty good. It's a combination I've used before, so it's not a complete shock. But once I start adding in the green, then we'll see how it comes out. And I'm doing this wet on wet. I'm not waiting for stuff to dry. In oil painting, they call it alla prima. I don't know if it's called alla prima with gouache or not. The reason why I do so many Minotaur is I have developed a game based on Dungeons and Dragons, and it works with Dungeons and Dragons, or it works as a standalone. and it's called Lords of the Labyrinth. And the Labyrinth is the home of the Minotaur. And so with my game, I have I don't want to say a family, but a clan of a tribe of Minotaur. And they reside on the island of Tavroto. And I have designed probably over 100 Minotaur. In addition, one of the game, I think I put in maybe 8 of the Minotaur. And I have version 2 coming out this year. I'm working on it now. I've developed new game mechanics to make it really nice and fun. And I'm also doing some solo adventures so that if people don't have someone to play with, they can play it by themselves. But that is to say, I need more Minotaur. I need more monsters. The island is inhabited by the Minotaur. The people who play are expeditionaries, and they are in search of the Minotaur horde. The Minotaur love bright, shiny things, and the Minotaur king has developed a horde of things to which people try to steal. And that is no bueno, right? Stealing from the Minotaur, that's putting your life at risk. And that's what the game's all about. Putting your life at risk, trying to steal from the Minotaur king. And it's called Lords of the Labyrinth. All right, that's all of the line work there. And now I'm going to come up and where's my... Oh, I don't have my sticker. Hold on just a moment. I'm going to have to make a sticker real quick. I usually try to keep a sticker for my directional light. So in this case, I want the light to be coming from here. And I say sticker, but it's really just a piece of tape. And I use it to indicate my lighting direction so I don't forget. So now I know lighting is coming this way, so I know what's going to be in shadow and what's going to be in light. Do a quick time hack. 12 minutes in, and we've got the background and the deepest, darkest shadow taken care of. So I'm not mad at that. I'm going to stick with my number 6 brush or number 5 brush here because now I'm at a point where I would use it anyway. I don't think I should have used it for that outline work. I should have used a thinner brush, but that's okay. I'm going to take this mixture that I have. I'm going to add some green to it. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm going to take my green and blue and see what that gets me. Of course, it's going to get me a blue-green, but I'm going to see how dark or light it gets me. Because somewhere... All right, that's a nice color. I like it. It's a little dark. I'm going to add a little more green to it. All right, I can dig that. I can dig that. And this is going to be my my main color. So let me show you what I mean. So this, I've got my color, my palette, limited palette here. This is just a background color. But the 2 colors I'm mainly working with are the ultramarine blue and the iridium green. And I'm using black and white to add tone. And the mixture that I like of blue and green gives me this right here. And I'm going to use that as my main color. I'll add a little black for the shadow. I'll add a little white for the highlight. or the sunlight or the lighted areas. So if the light's coming this way, what's going to be the parts that show as the pure green? That's what I'm looking for. Light's coming this way. I'm going to say we're going to have this part right here will be the natural color. This part here is going to be in deeper shadow because it's behind the shield. And this is pretty decent. Not too mad at it. The cool thing about paint is you can always go over it. Even with the gouache, if I don't like it, I can go over it later. And that's the cool thing about it. This is under shadow, darker. But right around here, I'm going to have the main green. And the word I'm looking for is escaping me right now, but it'll come to me probably while I'm doing this. This is a little bit darker than I would like for it to be, but I think that's because I still got a lot of white of the paper. Now, this is the shoulder coming into the bicep and tricep, and then down into the forearm. And that's that area right along there. Now, on that shoulder muscle there, it's none of it's going to catch that natural light, or not much of it. Anyway, so, but this is what I really want. Now, with that gives me my real, the back. Around the back here will show some of the real color. Right around there. True color. You know what's funny is in life, oh shoot, I just messed that up. In life, we rarely see the real color of things. We normally see it in shadow. We normally see it in light. And it's really not the real color. Now, color lives in the shadow. And the more you get something in shadow, the more true color you're going to see. But then there's a thin line between where that color disappears and you start to see a shade in value. Now I'm going to just go ahead and paint the whole tail this color. And then I'll put in the highlights and the shadow later. Now for this one, I should probably be using a different brush for sure. But again, it's a color comp. I don't need to be super precious with it. But the tail is definitely outside of the shield, so I'm thinking you'll get the real color. And what's really cool is there is, some of the people who really inspire me, like Frank Frazetta. Most people have seen his Death Dealer, paintings. And you look at it and there's purples and reds and all kind of colors in it. And you're like, there's no purple horses. But because of the way the sun reflects on things, you see a wide variety of colors and stuff. And so that's why when I'm doing these, I don't mind doing some coloring that's a little bit odd, because when I'm pulling references for bulls and their hair and bulls from around the world, I mean, they look so incredible and so multicolored depending on the lighting and the sun. Landlocked, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Just doing a pop-up uh painting session tonight. Um wasn't scheduled, but I was in the mood to paint, and so I said I'd go for it. And I'm going to take this color and I'm going to mix it with a little of the darker color that I had going for the outline here. And I'm going to try to get some of this that lives in the shadow. Silly Junk Girl, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Now let me see. Where do I want this? I'll go with it here. Because I want that part to be a lot darker. So we'll come with it here. And we'll come with it here. And I'm on my second color now. How am I doing on time? Just turned 11 o'clock, so 20 minutes in. And I'm on the third or fourth color, so I'm happy about that. Now, in reality, I really would like to be able to do these in 30 minutes. I think if they were smaller thumbnail size, I could definitely get that done in 30 minutes. But at this size, I'm actually shooting for an hour. I know I can get them blocked in pretty quick, but because of the larger size, I'm really trying to not do a full mini painting, but getting it to a point where, people are like, oh, wow. They can see more than just the color palette that I'm going for. They can see the composition that I'm going for. And let's see here. What is this? Yeah, we can use this here too. So if you're watching this after the fact on my YouTube channel, thank you. I appreciate it. I do these live on Whatnot, and you should be able to see the Whatnot tag up there. I am on all social media under Brad Scott Art. So please stop by and visit wherever you use social. If you want to see a lot of the stuff that's in progress, well, that's definitely Instagram. Everything's on Instagram. Everything that I do is on Instagram for sure. If you are looking for my professional portfolio, though, then you want to go to bradscottart.com. Why? Because there you will be able to order prints from some of the full paintings that I do. All right, so that's what I want there. And actually, I'm going to clean this out. I think right in that elbow crook, the crook of the elbow there, I want that darker color that I was working with earlier. So I'm gonna go ahead and just make that full deep color right in the crook of that elbow, right there. Okay. Now I'm gonna go with a color that's a little bit lighter than that green. So I'm gonna take that main color, add a little bit of white to it, and see what that gets me. Penny Rock, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. Always good to have people stop by, even if it's just for a little bit. I can't even stress to you all how good it is to have people stop by. I would say one of the things that Whatnot has done for me as an artist is allowed some of that conversation to happen, allowed some of that visibility to happen. And a lot of times artists are just, sitting in their rooms, in their studios, at their desk, on their patio, in the park, wherever, and they're just drawing and painting and stuff. So it's good to, socialize with people every now and then. Crystal Novas, thanks for stopping by. I'm sure I pronounced that very wrong. And today I'm just doing a pop-up show. Why? Because I wasn't tired. I don't have to keep a schedule tomorrow because of the holiday. And I was going to paint anyway. So I figured I might as well jump online and do it. Maybe chat with some people who decide to stop by. And I'm only going to be on for about an hour today, and I'm about 30 minutes in. Just doing a color comp for another Minotaur painting that I'm thinking about doing full painting. I like the pose. I think if once I did a full painting, and my full paintings are 6x9, I would probably really focus on, let me get this in here real quick. I think in a larger painting, I would focus on the muscularity in this arm coming down and maybe make that face a little bit more like. Bro Man RN, thanks for stopping by. Cal2121, Sally Shop. Thank you all for stopping by. This is just a pop-up show that I decided to do on Sunday night. Not my normal night, but I was painting, so I said, let me jump on, see who pops in with me. Always good to see the repeats. And just as much, it's also good to see new people. I would say one thing for sure, Whatnot has really shown me that there are people interested in art out there. That's another thing, that when you're an artist, just sitting in your house trying to create stuff, or in your studio trying to create stuff, not really getting feedback, it's hard sometimes. It's hard to kind of judge what people like, what they don't like. You put together a big portfolio of stuff, and then you don't know, how it's received. Whatnot kind of gives you an avenue to say, hey, here's what I'm working on. What do you all think? Oh, Hanny, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. So I'm very appreciative to Whatnot for, giving that avenue for people to kind of figure out, or not people, but artists and creators to kind of figure out what people like, what they don't like, um, be able to have conversations with people. I've learned a lot about what people. Now, I will say there's things that I'm going to do regardless of what people like or don't like. And then there's parts that I'm very flexible on. Like, because of the game that I've created, the Minotaur game, I'm always probably going to do Minotaur, but at the same time, I'm doing a lot more mythology art as well. And I'm finding out that people really like the mythology art that I'm doing. I've done Medusa, Chimera, Pegasus. The Pegasus is a lot more popular than I thought it was going to be honest. That one really kind of took off and people are ordering prints off of it. I'm glad that people are enjoying it. That's for sure. You know, I really wasn't expecting it, but people dig the Pegasus. I'm like, cool. Um, this week I'm gonna start on Merlin, the magician. That was I put up a poll and asked if that's something that people would like to see. And oddly enough, a lot of people came back on, yeah, we'd like to see a painting of Merlin. It took me a couple of weeks to kind of come up with something cool. Um, that one, I will be honest with you, I was like, Merlin. What do I do for Merlin? And how do I make it not just look like a plain old wizard? And so I was playing with it in a couple of different ways. I think I came up with something that might be cool. And I'm definitely looking forward to doing it. And this color palette is, I don't know. As the colors dry, I'm getting some good separation. I'm seeing some colors that I really like. I think that's the other thing about doing the color comps is by mixing the colors, I kind of know what I can do with the paints. But then when I because when I work on 9 by 12, if there's something I don't like, I can always paint over it. But that's a pretty big platform to waste paint on. And as I get into bigger paintings, I'm probably always going to want to do a color comp just because I don't want to waste paint with these smaller color comps. If I do something and then I decide, I don't like it, I can change it up without a lot of real estate that I have to redo. And while I paint, I'm watching movies. I had to stop, I had to turn the volume down on the movies because YouTube, I put these on YouTube as well. And then YouTube hits me with copyright. YouTube can hear the movie and it goes, "You don't have rights to play this movie." I'm like, "But I'm not playing the movie." And they go, "Yeah, but you got the volume going. So you're blocked out now. And your video is blocked out." And I'm like, "Oh, thank you, YouTube. Use some of my guns." So I'm watching Lord of War right now with Nicolas Cage. Great movie. I really enjoy it. But a lot of times when I do want the movie or I want to listen to music, because I can't listen to music if I'm recording either, because then it's definitely a violation. Because they're like, hey, you are not supposed to be playing that music. So they tag me on that one, which that one is legit, right? That's a legit. If you can hear the music, then although I could put headphones on and play the music because I wouldn't be listening to anything else. So, but it's nice to have the music in the background for you all to hear as well. Because without the music and without a movie in the background, the only thing you have to listen to is my voice. And while I may have a deep melodious voice that some people like, I also have to think of crap to talk about. I have to be a little entertaining, a little bit, which is not a problem. Not a problem at all. For the most part, I enjoy chatting. Um, I usually have topics in mind to talk about before I start painting. And then as I start painting, different topics come to mind. The paints I use, I like the Arteza. I think their colors are very vibrant. Um, and they have a wide range of colors. And they are super affordable as I stick my hand in the paint, which I often do. But here's the other cool thing: wash dries so fast. Um, Much faster than oils. If this was oils, I'd definitely be in trouble. But like here, I just painted this and it's already dry over here. One of the things I do have that I didn't say I said didn't want to do, but I finally wound up doing is getting a paint stick. And sometimes I'll use the paint stick so I can rest my hand and not worry about getting my hand in the paint. I'm actually going to use it for this next part. I try to work top to bottom, left to right, so that I don't do that. But since I know this is wet right here and I want to do this hand, I'll use my paint stick. I'll rest my hand on the paint stick. And then I don't have to worry about touching the paint. But initially, I was like, I'm not using a paint stick. And I refused to do it only to my own detriment because I was working on a painting. And sure enough, I was in one of the later stages. This actually was the Gorgon, the Medusa that I was working on. And I was finished a part on the body in the lower right hand side. And then I saw a place I wanted to do in the upper left. And sure enough, I got paint where I didn't want it. And I had to fix it. And then I said, you know what? Just get a paint stick. So I made this one. It's just a wooden dowel from Home Depot. And I think it's an inch or a half inch. And then I wrapped tape around it on the end to make it slide a little bit better. That's it. Nothing super fancy about it. They have paint sticks and paint bridges that you can buy. And I'm like, I don't think I need all that. All right, now for these three areas, I want a deeper color. If I can get something close between these two colors, that'll be perfect. I don't know if I'll be able to. but we'll try. Although I may have to just go a lot darker than I wanted to. I didn't want to go as dark as this, though. That's what I was really trying to avoid. The other thing is once I mix black and white, which I get gray, and then by adding the blue and the green, I can it's like automatically toned down, if that makes sense. Probably doesn't make sense, but maybe you understand what I'm saying. So here's another opportunity for me to stick my hand in. Ooh, what was that? Knocking crap on the floor. So we'll see how this looks. Now, I don't think it's as dark as this. It may look like it wet, but when it dries, I think it'll be fine. How are we doing on time? 11:20. So I think we're doing pretty good on time, actually. Now the horns, I don't want the horns to be stark white. So I think I'm going to do a light blue for the horns. Take the white and just give it a dab of blue. So it's not. And the only reason I wouldn't want to go full white is because then I can't get anything higher than that. So if I go full white, that's it. I can go down, but I can't go brighter than that. It's like why I mix the black with the blue is because even though this looks really dark, I can still put black on that and it would look even darker. That black would still stand out. You know, once I use the extremes of black and white, then that's it. But this will be the darkest blue or the darkest color, not even the darkest blue, that's the darkest color. And then I'll find something, the horns will be the lightest color, and then everything else will fall in value between that. And this is kind of like a mid-key painting. I probably should try doing a full high key, full low key painting sometime soon. King of the Goons. I dig it. I love that name. Thank you for stopping by. I'm also going to use this color for the strap. We got a lot of people stopping by tonight. I appreciate it. And I know people can see the thumbnail. So by them stopping by, there's a little bit of interest in the topic, maybe. Fantasy art. And I'm going to take this color and I'm also going to do the eyes with it. I'm going to do the eyes. Okay. And then the snout is going to be a little bit lighter. And then the horns are going to be a lot lighter. So I'm just going to take a dab of white and make the snout a lighter green. snout. And hopefully it shows as a green, because I'm going to use a blue for the horns. And then I can use pure white to do some highlights on the horns and the teeth. And then I can use some pure black maybe in a couple of areas that I really want to pick out. So there's the snout. And then I'll take a white with a touch of blue for the horns. So let me get a good amount of white out on my palette here. There we go. And then I'm just going to take I didn't mean to do that. Then take a touch of blue just to bring it down, tint it down a little bit. Oh, I tinted it down way too much. Okay. That's all right. I'll just bring in some more white. That's what I want. And I forgot the tail. But this will help. And that's the other thing about gouache. Even though it's water-based, it's opaque enough to cover up the pencil lines. And I can dig it. I'm going to have to turn the picture here just a little bit. I don't want to mess up. So I'm going to have to turn it just a little bit. Otherwise, I'm going to mess up. I'm going across. All right. On the other hand, I can do no problem. Sayamel and Donnie Whitrock, thanks for stopping by. Just doing a pop-up show tonight of some fantasy art painting. Doing a quick Minotaur color comp to see if the composition I like, to see if the color palette I like. And I like them both. I like the composition. I think it looks pretty cool. And the colors, I think the color palette's pretty nice. And what I'll do is, if I really like it, I'll turn this into a full 9x12 canvas painting, much more detail, as opposed to a 1-hour color comp. But I kind of like this color. And I'm going to go ahead and throw some streaks in the tail here. And that'll be to catch the light. I think it came out all right. And it was less than an hour. So I got a little bit time to throw in some details, which I want to do. But first I want to throw in a little more tail action, because that tail is going to be a little bit of everything. A little light, a little dark, a little in the shadow. Okay. So that's nice and blocked in. that Peace Monkey or Pisces Monkey? So that was a quick color block in, less than an hour. It's 11:30 now. We started at 10:40. So we're going to take a quick 10 minutes and just see what kind of detail we can add to this painting. See if we can bring it out a little bit using the colors that we've already established. If I can find the right brush, which I'm hoping this one is. I'm going to go with a really small brush. Do I want to go this small? Big Dog Collectibles, what's happening? Just finishing up a color comp here. Actually, that brush might be too small because I do want, before I do that, I want to get, so that edge of the shield would have the light hitting it. So I want to bring that out just a little bit. Troy, what's happening? Okay. Just hit that light. Oh, curve that one a little bit too much right there, but that's okay. I'll bring it down like that. And again, this is my lighting direction. So the edge of the shield, actually the edge of the shield all the way around should have some light on it. Even up in there. And maybe even some of the edge of the Minotaur itself. Get a little light in there. And then I can come in and I can highlight some tail action. That sounded bad. Highlight some tail action. This is actually turning out pretty good. I can dig it. I'm cool with that. I am cool with that. All right. What else do we want to do? Let's take this and maybe blend in some parts. Maybe do a glaze. Let's try that. Maybe right around here. Let's glaze that a little bit and see if that can blend in. I'm not the best at the water glazing with gouache. I'm getting better at it. I really like the effect when I can do it right, because the blend that it gives is just creamy butter. But it's definitely a technique that I need to continue to work at. And I think for me, the hardest part is making sure I have the right amount of water without making it too wet or too dry. Too dry is usually not a problem because then I get a dry brush effect, which I can dig. I like that when I get that effect going. But when I'm trying to get some nice blends with the water glazing, that's when I'm like, ooh, man, I wish I had done it a little bit better. But I'm getting there. I'm seeing some results from different things that I'm trying to do. I'm going to take a little dab of the eye here. That was too much, but okay. No, that was definitely too much. Oh, the teeth came out good. Good job, Brad. Good job on the teeth. What else do we want to do here? I think I want to go with a really nice deep black in some areas here. So I'm going to try this. May not work, but I'm going to say like right up under here, maybe there is a lot more darkness. And I know that it may not come out just the way I want it to, but I'm going for it. And this is a very watered down black. And I'm hoping as it dries, it brings in more of the color. And lets it sit down into it. And then, what are we at? Let's take a quick few minutes and do some white highlights. Some pure stark white, which I have no idea how this is going to turn out, but we'll see. I'm going to turn this so okay, that came out pretty cool. Yeah, that because I dimmed that down a little bit with the blue on the horns. Now this white can just sit up there and it can be a highlight. Okay, that's cool. I think I'll add a little white highlight around the snout as we finish up here. And maybe even a little bit on the teeth. And maybe a little bit in the eyes. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at it. And we got maybe one more minute here. What am I thinking? Oh, I know what I want to do. In the shield, let's get a little, we got 1 minute. So let's take that black that we were doing and push the shield back just a little bit more. That inside of the shield, right up in there. See if we can push that back a little bit more. Kind of give it that concave look. I'm trying to do this as a glaze. Ooh. I'm trying to do this as a glaze, as a dark black glaze. And hopefully it dries right. But push that deeper into the shield. Going a little bit past the minute that I said I wanted, but that's okay. I'll be done here in a second. And the only time limit is me just wanting to not be so precious with color comps. I want them to be more than just the color comp, but they don't need to be full paintings at this size, unless that's the intention I start off with in the first place. But then if that was the intention I was starting off in the first place, I'd probably have a much more detailed sketch going in than what I was working with. But the reason I want to do this is to give that a little more separation going into and around the head. And kind of maybe silhouette that head a little bit more, vignette it a little bit. There we go. I can dig it. And actually I can come up under here just a little bit. And maybe even right up in the jaw. All right. I think that might be it. All right. Let's take a look at it. I think that color palette, I do like the green and blue for the Minotaur. I like the orange, although I don't know if I like the orange with that green and blue combination. So I'm gonna have to think about that, but I do really like that orange as a background. It might be a little bit too strong, and maybe I need to use it as an accent color versus the full background. And then I think the color palette of the green and blue is actually pretty cool. But let's go ahead and unleash the beast. This is probably one of the most satisfying parts coming up, is revealing the border. Oh yeah, that's looking nice. And then once it dries, I'll erase the pencil lines that were in the border, make it look nice and clean. And there's our 1 hour Minotaur. I do like the composition. I like the pose. Doing a full painting to this, I would definitely use a little bit more detail, but I do like the pose overall. I like the color. The background, I think in a full 9x12 painting, I would change the background up a little bit. Maybe two-part background. Maybe the orange is part of a vignette and then put something else. But overall, I think it came out all right. So, get a nice thumbnail shot right there for the video. And, that was just an hour. So that's not too bad. Really need to get these down to under 30 minutes. But an hour is about what I'm averaging for this 6x8. It gives me a color composition. It's enough to kind of really understand what I'm going for. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you're rewatching this later, I hope you enjoy it even more. Again, this was just a pop-up show last minute. And I appreciate everything. And thanks for stopping by. Thanks for checking me out. Brad Scott Art on Instagram. And that's where you'll see everything that I do, including fantasy art, comic art, commissions, everything that I do. I post on the Instagram. Stay tuned for more shows on the Whatnot. Thursday nights, I do fantasy work. And then on Saturday nights, I do Sketch Card Saturday night, where I do pop culture and comics. So thanks a lot. Hope you enjoyed it. Peace out.